join the mobs and burn the vehicles and burn, public property.
Okay, Mr. Bhutta
So
is smiling.
that's
He
not
has
what
got
we
his
expect.
answer ready for that, but we're going to take a short commercial break. As soon as you return, we will get Mr. Bhutta's response to that and more. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Witness. Of course, before the break, Ms. Wazir Ali took a jab at the PML-N, though she didn't name them, but we all know whom she was talking about. Mr. Bhutta, before I come back to Karachi, I think you should respond to the fact that your party and your party leader, Mr. Nawaz Sharif, definitely told your party workers publicly that they should go out and join the protesters, and those protesters have been torching public property. Was that justified?
I think one thing should be understood very, I think interestingly, that our party belongs to the people of Pakistan and our party is from the people of Pakistan. Our party has a public pulse and our party workers, they belong to the root, and they belong to the masses, they belong to the streets, they belong to the people who really understand, who really feel what are the problems. And our party is not consistent of only Jagirdars and the Vaderas and everybody
Basically,
who are having their...
also in government.
Allow me.
Okay. Your
Just a
party
while.
is sitting in government.
Now, saying something that our party workers, they came on the streets and they took the government in a way that why the government is not providing the electricity, why the government is a failure, totally failing in redressing the problems of the people of Pakistan.
I'll come to that in detail.
I think this is in fact a public pulse which came out in the street.
But you think it was justified for your party leaders? Hamza Sharif was leading a protest rally.
Hamza Sharif was leading the people. So you
think it's okay?
So that the mob is not supposed to be misled, because if the mob is to be given a free hand, and if mob is misled, then what happens? That happens. Then something happens in the streets, and then the burnt cases are taken place. Then the public property is set at fire.
I'm going to take action against this. I'm not going to get distracted. I don't want to go into this.
If Hamza leads a procession, that is without breaking even a glass. That is without breaking even
his rally was fine.
So that was. So if they
I want to return to this because I don't want to get. Let's finish the Supreme Court discussion first. And Ms. Wazir Ali nicely tossed in that googly here.
But
so
I must say, Quatrina, this is the most exceptional situation in history ever.
This is, I think, this is the time now that the leadership should lead the people of Pakistan.
Okay, we're
time and again it has been said. Time and again it has been said by
Reza Haroon on the phone
that we will follow the pulse of the people of Pakistan. If the people of Pakistan are coming out for their rights,
nobody can understand anything because both of you are speaking at the same time. Mr. Reza Haroon, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a little sidetracked talking about the Punjab situation, but back to the Supreme Court verdict. Mr. Haroon, this judgment also holds the MQM as one of the parties that is responsible for extortion, along with the People's Party, the ANP, the Sunni Tehreek and the Jamaat-e-Islami. But more so, the Supreme Court also says that political parties are harboring criminal elements within their ranks. I'm asking this question to each and every party that is involved in Karachi. This is something, are you ready to accept that your party is also one of the parties that harbors criminals within its ranks? And what are you going to do about it?
Thank you very much, Quatrina. First of all, let me say that our party welcomes the judgment of the Supreme Court today, and we value it with highest regard. And we think that was a very, very fine judgment, need of the time, and the observations and guidelines given by the Supreme Court are really very commendable and need to be followed in letter and spirit. Now, coming to your first part of your comment, I don't think that is totally correct. I think what the Supreme Court has mentioned in their judgment before the observation and guidelines is the summary of the proceedings.
Right.
And during the summary of the proceedings, they have mentioned that it has been reported to them that certain political parties, the names, and certain elements within their political parties who take the shelter of their political parties are involved in these acts. But in their observations, their directions and their guidelines, they have not commented on this fact. So the fact should be really very clear that they are mentioning.
I agree. That's not part of their
argument.
finding.
Yeah, it's not part of their observation and judgment. It's part of the proceedings of the case.
But Mr. Haroon, let's call a spade a spade. I've lived in Karachi as a journalist. Mr. Haroon, I've lived in Karachi all my life as a journalist, and I know perfectly well that all political parties, including yours, are involved in extortion at some level or another.
This is a statement, and I stand as a party responsible person. I totally deny this statement, and I say this, that MQM has got this policy of zero tolerance for such elements within the party. We have issued the statement, and several of our workers who were found to be involved in such activities have been expelled from the party.
Okay, will you continue to clean house?
The party stance is very clear. There is no room for any criminal element within the MQM, the ranks and file. However, it is a political party, it is a public party. People do join MQM, but as soon as we know through our check and balance system that an individual is involved, that is an individual act, and we condemn it and we take appropriate action.
Okay, Mr. Haroon, one other question that I think is kind of crucial, because this is my personal belief. You can agree or disagree, but one of the first steps towards fixing a wrong is to first take a good look at ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I mean all of us, politicians, political parties, everybody.
Exactly.
If the MQM is not even willing to admit that they have made mistakes in the past, then you're never going to be able to correct them.
No, I will repeat myself. I said MQM is the political party that has expelled several individuals who joined the party in the pretext that they wanted to carry out their criminal activities.
Yes, we know that.
As soon as we got aware of that, we have expelled them from the party. So this is what really I am trying to say.
Right.
And my initial statement, if you remember, I would like to remind you that we want that to follow the observations and guidelines and direction of Supreme Court in letter and spirit. So that includes their guidance in this matter as well.
Okay.
The political parties
Mr. Haroon,
have to
stay with me, because here in the studio I have Shahnaz Wazir Ali from the People's Party here in the studio with me. And one of the issues that I really agree very strongly with what the Supreme Court said is depoliticization of the police. That is critical. And again, much of what the Supreme Court has said today was not a secret. We all knew this. Political interference in the matters of the police has been a matter of record for years, decades. Ms. Wazir Ali, the MQM is now your new coalition partner. Is your party willing to stop political recruitment, politically based recruitment in the ranks of the police in Sindh?
First of all, Quatrina, I'd like to welcome the MQM statement made by Mr. Haroon that they are taking every step necessary in their party to throw out all elements that have engaged in any sort of extortion.
Are you going to do the same? Because your party is named
the point is that if there are, we have not had any such cases. Actually, if you look at the record of the cases filed against the People's Party, and you can take a look of a 30-year, 40-year record, they are all political cases. Political cases, not cases of kidnapping or extortion or ransoming or anything like that. But I said we welcome the MQM's intentions and statement that they are going to cleanse their party of any such elements wherever they may be. The other thing is, I think there would be no dispute on the fact that everyone in Pakistan would like to see a highly efficient police force, a highly efficient, organized, merit-based law and order set of whether it is a police force in any province or whether it is whether it is the security personnel. I would not say that that there is rampant political recruitment. That is not possible. If you take
30 to 40% according to the Supreme Court.
If you look at, I don't know on what basis their data has been collected when they can say 30 and 40%, so I would not question that. But the fact is that there are very specific rules, regulations and procedures in the police through which people enter the police. There is quite a rigorous process of selection into it. Now, clearly, the police force of a particular province is going to recruit people of that province. Now, if that province happens to have 80%, for example, or 75 or 80%, if not more, of Sindhis in the province, and if the police force is constituted of a majority of Sindhis, I don't think you can call it a political recruitment, first of all. Secondly, I would say that I don't think in any case that the police force is constituted of a majority of the people of that province, in this case in particular. So I think that it's very, very necessary for us to really have some data and facts on the table. I will say this, that our government has made an effort to ensure that the compensation, the salary packages, the career mobility, the support services, the environment and the conditions within which the police have to work, that they are being improved. Because we all recognize that they are not adequately paid.
Let me get Mr. Haroon into this as well. Mr. Haroon, are you satisfied with the process of recruitment of the police in Sindh? And because the Sindh police is deployed in Karachi. Karachi doesn't have a separate police force.
Katrina, the process has to be based on merit, regardless of what the criteria is. If they don't follow the merit procedure, if they don't make the principle of recruitment on a merit basis, and also we have to now introduce the idea of community policing as well. I agree with Mr. Wazir Ali that, when you have got area people in the community and, in the police, the community representatives, then it makes a hell of a lot of difference. It makes their efficiency more, it makes them to be more efficient. They are more answerable because people know who's their SHO, who's their DSP. He has been living there for long. The family is known. So, then you can get rid of this depoliticizing thing as well. So the politicizing of the police force has to also be looked at because the Honorable Supreme Court Judge has mentioned. So we have to take that as a fact as well. And we have to look within ourselves as well, and within the police force, and within the society as well.
Mr. Haroon, you have now rejoined the government.
Solution has to be the package as a whole.
Okay, Mr. Haroon, you've rejoined the government yesterday. One of the questions that has often been mooted in the past is that some form of metropolitan policing should be introduced in the entire country, Karachi, Lahore, Rawalpindi to begin with. Is metropolitan policing possible in the framework of provincial autonomy at this point?
Why not? I would think if there is legislation needs to be done, then there are provincial assemblies in place, national assemblies in place. It is part of our manifesto as well, that MKM wants to see metropolitan police, community policing. Unfortunately, at the moment, we are in a coalition government, so there has to be a consistent decision. But I can assure you, MKM is all for community policing and metropolitan policing.
Okay, Mr. Haroon, stay with me because I'd like to get Mr. Bhutta's response to that. This is something that I have had a personal interest in for a long time because I've seen the model of policing in other countries. And metropolitan police, I mean, look at the United States, you've got the New York Police Department, NYPD or whatever. London has its own city-based police. Do you think, Mr. Bhutta, this is something that we need to look at in a very serious way now for all cities, because in Karachi it becomes contentious if you do it for one city alone. Do we need to do this in Karachi, Lahore and Rawalpindi, the three biggest cities to begin with?
I think one thing is very significant which Mr. Haroon has said. More importantly, in a densely populated city where from various walks of life and from entire country people, they come and they live over there. And in a densely populated city, I think this is very difficult for the police who is ordinarily recruited from various districts, that to identify those people as to who is who and to whom he is related. So this is the community policing as well as the metropolitan police, if that is supposed to be extended, this idea, I think that would help a lot. Because now it is very much seriously felt that the people from our own ranks, they become criminals, they go for rioting, they go for various criminal activities. So
because
the point arises...
I think that the police itself in Karachi, in my experience in the 90s, and I haven't been there for several years, so I should say that, the police was involved in extortion.
Yes, so the point arises as to why they cannot be arrested, why they cannot be identified, how they go for the criminal activities. So that is only possible if the SHO who has been posted over there, he knows them for all years together, he is having a surveillance of the entire area and he is having a network in that particular area, so that any person either living in multi-story flats who cannot be identified, that who is the man or who is either somebody is a student.
In Karachi, nobody knows
somebody is a criminal or somebody is belonging to which area.
Yeah,
I think this needs to be very seriously checked, and this system is supposed to be radically enforced. And a radical change is needed in that particular system.
Do you think that we now need to be a little bit more aggressive in trying to find long-term solutions to our problems? Metropolitan policing works around the world. Why don't we have that in Pakistan?
I would tend to agree that I think it is time that we look seriously at it. and clearly experience around the world from several countries has shown that specialized police arrangements such as what we have for the motorway police, that's an excellent example.
Yeah.
The motorway police has demonstrated that it can deliver very, very high